Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Adventure Guide. And today we're going to talk about a deadly secret that led to a lost treasure near the town of Alpine in Texas. In the late 1800s, a number of Seminole Indians had crossed into the United States from Mexico. Among them was a man that was only known to us as Mr. Johns. He was said to be over 6 foot tall and weighed less than 100 pounds, and his physique made him comical to watch while he walked. But he was considered a hell of a ranch hand. He built his humble little home between the town of Alpine and Haystack Mountain, just to the northeast of town. Mr. John's health failed him, and on his deathbed, he called out to his favorite grandson, Jim, to come see him, for he had a very important secret to share with him. Jim followed his grandpa around everywhere. They went on picnics together, they went on adventures together, and Jim seemed to be the only one that wanted anything to do with his grandfather. Now Jim is a grown man, and he's standing by the bedside of his grandfather as he's passing on. Mr. Johns shared with Jim his biggest secret, and it went something like this. Back around 1900 or so, Mr. Johns was out looking for some lost sheep that had wandered off into the small mountain range nearby. Mr. Johns hurried as a storm was blowing in, but he got caught in it. He was in a canyon when the rain pounded down on him. He knew he only had minutes before the canyon was about to become a raging river that would kill both him and his horse. So he found a ledge that was up off the canyon floor a little bit. He rode up there with his horse and he tethered it to a tree, and then he sought shelter from the rain. Nearby, he spied a skinny-looking crack in the side of the canyon wall. He slid in it for cover, but he noticed as he was sliding in that it opened up to a bigger chamber. The chamber was a tiny 6-foot by 6-foot room. He waited out the storm, but meanwhile, his eyes adjusted to the dark. It was enough to make out a stack of saddlebags or pouches stacked up against the cave wall. He pulled out his pocket knife and began to cut the bottom of one, and gold coins spilled out. He began to grab them, but he stopped. He feared that outlaws would find out and kill him for the information, or he would be accused of theft. So he left the coins where they were till he could devise a plan. But he fell ill and was dying before he could go back and retrieve it. It was now his grandson Jim's problem. Mr. Johns passed on, and for the next 5 years, Jim searched till he finally found it. He loaded up enough to carry on foot. He tried forging a partnership with a number of people that lived in the Alpine area, but he only got laughed at. Tired of being made fun of, he eventually got upset and he produced a handful of coins. But the faces of those laughing at him turned from smiles and laughing to a very dark nature. Jim just realized he screwed up big time. These men were probably going to hurt him. He immediately went home, grabbed his extracted coins, and fled. He caught a train to San Antonio and converted the coins to cash there. For many years he lived in San Antonio, well off on that money. However, his funds began to dwindle to the point he had to return for a second batch. This time, the well-dressed Jim drew much attention. He had spies on him as he left Alpine for San Antonio. Soon after his return to San Antonio, a group of men approached him and offered to buy the knowledge of the cache. Jim refused, and everybody left friendly. A few weeks later, the group returned again and demanded Jim reveal the location. And this time, they were more forceful about it. Things escalated till Jim was killed, and the location died with him. And today, all we know is that it is near Haystack Mountain, and it's in a canyon wall. So there is a possibility that this story is true. I wouldn't spend a lot of money or time looking for this treasure. However, if you're in the area of Alpine, it would be worth a little expedition or so. After all, gold is always a sound investment if you find it.